fast lane is a fallacy. The bro mindset of beast mode and burnout is absolute bullshit. And being busy will make you a fool. Despite spending the last 20 years burning myself out, doing beast mode and smashing it out of the park, I've finally realised that at my level, being in the fast lane is a complete fallacy. And if I'm going to take it to the next level, I need to master the middle lane. Now, this won't be for everybody. If you're brand new to business, you'll need to smash it out of the park and work 7 days a week. However, for those of you that are already making 6 and 7 figures a year, working smart is harder than working hard, but the middle lane mastery is where you want to be. In this podcast episode, I'm going to take you through what the slow lane, middle lane, and fast lane actually mean, and how you can move from one to the other to reduce your work, increase your earnings, and actually have fun and enjoy doing it. In my trusted journal, I'm going to take you through what the fast lane, middle lane, and slow lane means to me so that you can understand what each one looks like, where you are now, where you want to get to, and then how you actually get there. So this journal is the Property Entrepreneur Journal. We get one of these every single year. I've been doing this for 21 or 22 years now, and I've been teaching it for 11 years through Property Entrepreneur across our various programs. This journal was started in October this year. I'm recording this in December, so this is about 10 weeks worth of work, and the journal is very nearly full. And at the end of this process, I know exactly what my personal year of is going to be next year, my personal and professional objectives, my challenge, my adventure, my experience, my 70-20-10 distribution of focus, my business strategy, my support and objectives, my tangible targets. And that's only because I went through this process. One of the things that came out for me this year is that I need to do a year in the middle lane, and the middle lane mastery is actually where I am in my journey. And what I'm going to take you through is what that actually means to me, because on the board strategy weekend, the conversation kept coming up of what actually is the middle lane. And there's lots of people like me who've gone out there, they've done this for a decade, they're making good money, but they're burnt out, they're not enjoying it, and neglecting either their health, their family, or their general well-being. And actually, they want to have their 6 and 7 figure incomes, but also want to have a great life at the same time. They deserve it, they've earned it, and now's the time to actually enjoy it. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just go through what the lanes mean to me. And this is actually a page that I journaled in my cave time when I was trying to figure out, what does it actually mean? You know, if I want to be in the middle lane, what are the things that I do want to do? What are the things I need to stop doing? What do I associate as a strength? And what do I associate as a weakness? And for example, when I started this off right at the beginning, thinking about becoming the chairman this year, one of my pages was how I identify. And this is a great exercise for becoming who you want to become, because the reason you can't get to where you want to get to is because of some of the things you identify as. And when I looked at moving up to the chairman level, I realised the problem with me going there is I identify as somebody who's an extremist. I identify as somebody who works really hard. I identify as somebody that's got a strong work ethic. I identify as somebody that is always busy, always available, always accessible, because that's what's got me to where I am. But to become a chairman, I actually need to become the polar opposite. I need to, where previously I thought I need to be busy, actually to be the chairman, I need to be not busy. I need to be Warren Buffett in it, reading, having my feet up, thinking, working with my head, not my hands. And what I did was an exercise, and I wrote, I identify as the chairman. And this is basically, if I'm going to identify as the chairman, this is like fake it till you make it. You know, you want to grow into a brand rather than grow out of it. She's not. So what I did was all the things that I need to do. So peak performance, cardio, cool, calm, collected, high value work, heavy thinking. And then on the opposite side, what I need to not do. So beast mode, burnout, hard work, always available, sitting in front of a laptop, driving a desk for a living, doing extremes, being driven, spending all day on WhatsApp. You know, they're the things that have got me to where I am, but that's not what the chairman does. But I identify as that person. I now need to identify as the, that's what's got me here. I now need to identify as the chairman, which is the polar opposite. And if you actually do an exercise of writing the polar opposites, it enables you to anchor in your head, subconscious, whether you're on par or you're not. And an example of that is, for example, the chairman needs to not be busy. The chairman needs to not be available. And what you do is basically create a list of the things that apply to you in that capacity, and it allows you to rewire your brain. So, for example, I'm just struggling to find the other page, but for example, it said, when I boiled it down, it said, like, what I was trying to do is articulate exactly what I wanted to do. So, for example, I used to take pride in being busy, whereas now I say the chairman needs to not be busy. So it's like in my head, that's who I want to be. So now being busy is not actually a credible thing. And I associate being busy with being a broke, busy entrepreneur running around. Or I need to not always be available, because being available is, I used to identify as that, which means sitting at my desk or being on my phone, being on WhatsApp all day, always available. Whereas Warren Buffett is not always available. And actually, when you look at the highest levels of wealth creation, to increase your value, you actually reduce your accessibility. So this year I've only got 3 people reporting to me, as opposed to perhaps previously I might have 6. Really boiling down and bringing in those key people and making those decisions. I digress. Pulling it back to the year of the middle lane, it's like, right, what do these lanes actually look like? And in the same way as I identify as this, it's anchoring what that looks like. So I'm just going to share it with you. And you've got the slow lane, the middle lane, and the fast lane. And this is what they mean to me in my head and how I anchor whether I'm in the right lane or not. As I go through them, think about what you want and what you want to be and where you are. And if you're in the fast lane and I share some things about the fast lane that you're not doing, but you want to be in the fast lane, it'll inspire you to do those things. If you're in the fast lane and I'm reading out the things for the middle lane, and you actually want that, but you're in the fast lane, you need to change gears, put the foot on the brake, slow down and come into the middle lane. So basically at headline, the slow lane is boring. So basically the slow lane is boring. Let me take you through these. The slow lane is boring. The middle lane, over a long period, years or decades, is actually the best. And the fast lane is burnout. So the slow lane is boring. You sit there, your feet up, your cruise control, you're twiddling your thumbs. You haven't really got anything going on. If you imagine crawling along in the slow lane of the motorway, it's steady. It's maybe some people like it. It's safe, but it's not very exciting. There's not people cutting each other up or breaking speed limits and flying around corners. You know, it's slow and steady. And for a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, it'd probably be boring. For the middle lane is best. You know, the middle lane is you get where you need to get to. You can go 70 miles an hour, stick to the speed limit. You get there fast, you get there prompt, you're overtaking a few people. There's other people in your lane. You can listen to some music. You may be having a good time, but you're not going to get caught speeding. You're not going to have an injury. You're not going to be bored. You know, you're going to keep yourself entertained. And it's probably the best place to be. But then the fast lane, every now and again, you need to nip into it to overtake a car and accelerate faster than maybe you should. Or you're in business and you've got a deadline to hit, so you pull an all-nighter. Or you've taken on a big project, or it's marketing season, and for the next 6 weeks, you're going to work six days a week, 14-hour days, and you're going to go all guns blazing. But then at the end, you're going to slow down, come into the middle lane and you know, slow things down. So boring, best, and burnout. Slow lane, middle lane, fast lane. And to go through them each at a time, the slow lane is basically, if I were in the slow lane with no motivation, I would have no drive. To me, it's like, if you've ever seen the sort of gif of Homer Simpson laying on the sofa with his belly out, a can of beer on his belly, and a burger in his hand, to me, that's the slow lane. Like, it's just lethargic. There's no drive in life, nothing exciting, nothing sexy. It's just like, it's slow. I would get out of shape. I would pick up bad habits. I would procrastinate. I would get sloppy. I would twiddle my thumbs. I'd probably not have any purpose or drive. I'd feel lethargic. I'd be lazy. I'd be a bit lost. I'd let myself get out of shape mentally, physically, emotionally. It's just not really for me. I would pick up bad habits. That's what the slow lane is for me. It's like, I don't get any satisfaction in the slow lane. The middle lane is probably the best. And in the middle lane, what you've got here is like a good balance. So going to work and then finishing work. Low stress, enjoying work, enjoying home life, having maybe a few hours a day at the desk, a few hours in meetings, and then dinner with the family or going to the gym. It's fun. I would normally hold weight. You know, in a middle lane, you would hold weight. You wouldn't bulk. You wouldn't cut. You'd just be holding a nice, steady lifestyle. It's a lifestyle solution, so you're enjoying the view. You're having a great time. You're smiling. Your health is probably well balanced. You know, you're not doing extreme diets. You're not training for ultra marathons, but you're probably going to the gym a few times a week. You may be doing part run on a Saturday. You feel good. You look good. It's a sustainable solution. There's low stress. You know, there might be a bit of stress, a few problems here and there, but it's sustainable. It doesn't get in the way. It's not the soundtrack to your day. It's exciting. You know, there's things to look forward to. You're looking forward to date night on a Wednesday. You're looking forward to weekend away with the family. You're looking forward to a Friday off. You know, all these sort of things. There's no extremes. Everything's in moderation. You're in shape. It's probably your peak sustainable fitness level. It's your best self. It's enjoyable. It's balanced. It's steady. It's just a real good, nice balance where everything is really at equilibrium, or, you know, like in a body's sense, like homeostasis. Everything's just working really nicely. And then the fast lane is like the burnout, where I've probably gone every year for the last like 10, 15 years. You can break records. If you're starting out, it's probably where you need to be, period. If you're a high performer and you've already made your money, you're working smart and you're working hard, like your Elon Musks, maybe, depending on what your view on that is. But it really is the extremes. You know, it's working hard, it's overcooking it, it's sacrifice, it's rapid growth. In many cases, it's not fun. It's very empire builder. It's painful. You might put yourself in a dark place. For me, I get like nowadays into a point where I'm questioning everything. Why am I doing this? What's the point? Puts me in a really dark sort of existential crisis mindset. Emotionally, physically, you'll feel burnt out. Mental health will not be in a great space. You'll be beast mode in it. So you're literally physically, you're on the knife edge of like, you're doing 120 miles an hour around a corner. And if you hit the slightest thing on the road, you're going to be flipped over and end up in the ditch. It's early mornings. It's late nights. It's extreme anything. Bulking, cutting, breaking records, running 100 miles a week. You know, it's full of stress. It's prone to burnout. You know, it's definitely not sustainable. Some of you will need to do that because it's part of the course. Some of you will want to do that because you enjoy it. Some of you will be stuck there and actually, like me, probably want to switch down for the next year and go into a middle lane. So that basically explains it. Like, hopefully that tells you where it is. There's no right or wrong. The aim of the game is you're happy. So if you're happy in the slow, medium or fast lane, stay there. If you're in one of those lanes but you're not happy, consider when is a suitable time to move. And it might be that you have different periods. When you're on holiday, you do nothing. And you go traveling for 3 months a year or a month a year or 2 weeks a year and you do nothing. That's the slow lane. Great. Put your feet up. Have someone feed you grapes. Enjoy it. The middle lane is maybe that's where you stay in the main. You do 9 months in the middle lane and you do 3 months fast lane, burnout, beast mode in the summer. I've done it for a lifetime. It works. Sometimes it's necessary. It doesn't have to be the case. And then sometimes you have to nip in and out. You know, if you're stuck in the fast lane and it's not sustainable, you know, Elon Musk is probably a textbook case of somebody who's always been in the fast lane, lives his life in the fast lane, thrives on chaos, but emotionally, physically, mentally, it's probably not good for him. And even he says about he gets to a point where it's the law of diminishing returns in his sleep. You know, it's every working hour is actually a trade-off in productivity, etc. Hopefully that gives you some insight. What you'll find as well, probably as a closing sentiment, is that different profiles will gravitate towards different lanes. So I suspect the dynamos, the high-frequency thinkers, the million miles an hour, the starters, the leaders, they probably gravitate more towards the fast lane, dynamos and blazers. Blazers and tempos are probably better at the middle lane, probably tempos and maybe a bit of blaze, maybe a bit of steel. Tempo energy is more cruise control, it's more sustainability, it's sensory, it's in tune, it's not extreme, it's sustainable. More tempos tend to be more middle laney, and that obviously like reaches out to the blazers and the steels. And then perhaps the steels are maybe more slow lane, slow and steady, consistency, detail, look before you leap, conservative, more sort of slow lane, which again, there's nothing wrong with any of these lanes. It's like if that suits you, stick to it. And actually, in most cases, the slow lanes and the steels is where you actually make the money. So it's like there's pros and cons of every element. And as a profile, you'll probably gravitate towards one of each. Equally, as I've said, you may stop there, but you may not want to stay there. And if you are naturally in the slow lane as a steady sort of steel, or you are naturally burnt out as a dynamo in the fast lane, consider swapping lanes, consider trying the others and get the balance of each that gives you what you need and you enjoy it, you like it, and you have a sustainable solution that gives you what you want. That is what the middle lane is. That is what the slow lane, fast lane is. Hopefully you got value from it. And if you haven't already listened to the 200th episode, which I shared why I'm doing the year of middle lane, go back and listen to the last episode. You'll get lots of value from my 17 lessons from 2023 and what I've got planned for my year of for 2024. Hope you've enjoyed. Please do leave us a review. Click share, subscribe, share this, get support from your network. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.